Unlike all of you, I attended a large research university, the University of Maryland, as Justin had mentioned in the introduction. I received a Bachelor of Science degree in 1980, and many of you would be surprised to find out that it was not in chemistry, but psychology. After graduation, I was commissioned by my father as a lieutenant in the United States Army, and I had a plan. I did. Like Daddy, who served 26 years, I expected to serve a 20-plus year career in the service. But 3 years into that supposed 20-plus year career, I knew the Army was not a career for me. So I had to summon the courage to resign my commission and start anew. And while I did in fact leave the Army, I do not regret serving for 1 minute. But I did have to ask myself as a young officer, what did I really like on active duty? And the answer surprised me, although it should not have. I like the problem solving and the teaching. There's a surprising amount of that. And the fact that I didn't really have to worry about what I was going to wear to work the next day. And some might say I still don't. So in 1984, I went back to school at the University of Texas. As a side note, the state of Texas, in its infinite wisdom, decided to raise the tuition for in-state residents. They tripled it, in fact, in 1984, from $4 a credit hour to $12 a credit hour. So I'm going to let that hang in the air for a moment. Let's move on. I thought hard about teaching science at the secondary level and then moving into administration. And I started taking courses. Now, given that I already had a Bachelor of Science, the science coursework I needed consisted primarily of upper-level courses. I soon discovered that I didn't like the education courses much. And one internship at a local high school demonstrated that I really did not have the temperament for that particular environment. And I suspect 100 or so of you I've had in class would agree with that self-assessment. I'm sure many of you have experienced this. You take a course that opens your eyes. I'm certain of it. And it shows you the way, or at least it illuminates the next couple of steps. Among the science courses recommended to me, I opted to take an elective in the chemistry department. A course for chemistry majors only, which I wasn't, so I had to talk my way into it. This course changed the direction of my life completely. It was titled Synthetic Methods in Organic Chemistry. No surprise, it was primarily a laboratory course. As part of this course, I had to join a research group in the chemistry department at UT and conduct a 4-week synthetic project, which in my case consisted of making a molecule. The molecule I had to make was this. This is Troger's base. It was first prepared in 1887 by Julius Troger. He didn't know what he had. He knew it was a pure molecule, but he didn't know. It wasn't until 1935 that an American chemist named Spielmann elucidated the structure by an alternate synthesis. But I digress. I actually had to make a more complex derivative of this molecule. To do this, I had to hit the library and do research, solve chemical problems, find methods to conduct transformations, and then go into the lab and translate my library research into reality. I was in heaven. I had discovered what I wanted to do. And so in 1986, it was off to Pittsburgh and graduate school, and my life in academia began. A path that in 1980, I could never have predicted. Now, it's important to realize that passions for different subjects will always find ways of leaking into your life. So if you find one, pursue it, even if it might not lead to a career. For example, while a student at the University of Maryland, I developed a passion for the Middle Ages. I spent hours in the library researching medieval life. Through their artwork, I learned about the clothing they wore, both civilian and military. Through their writings about the world as they saw it, I learned about the context of their lives and how their experiences influenced our modern world. Much to my parents' consternation, and probably because of my parents' consternation, I found myself in a medieval recreation group. This passion has found its way to trickle back into my life as a chemist. Many students visiting my office are confronted with elements like this. This is a 14th century bassinet. To be fair, it is a reproduction. There are only about 26 in extent in the world. If you look at this closely, you'll see that there's dents on it here and there. After all, I was in a medieval recreation organization. I did play in my own version of humans versus, well, humans. I have several helms, and I change them out every summer. They serve now to illustrate that you can be multifaceted and have different interests. I have used my armor to give classes in military concept of the First Crusade, Professor Sargent's Crusades course, in which I dressed Professor Sargent up as Sir Stephen, a First Crusader. My son Tristan, who is 8 and has already announced that he will be attending Union College, knows there is armor in the attic, and he can't wait until he is big enough to wear it. I have now nearly reached the end of my tale. Have you seen the 2 nuggets? The first is having the courage to change your life plan. Saying it sounds easy, but this is not as easy as you think. You must look over the precipice and jump. But if you find yourself going to bed at night, dreading getting up in the morning, as I did, jump you must. And the second, you must find your passions. You may already have a clue. If not, you have to be open to the opportunities that life will throw in your path. And once you have discovered them, you must pursue them relentlessly. Ben Franklin once said there are 3 hard things. Interesting, they all use carbon, in one way or another. The first uses carbon to achieve hardness, and the latter 2 are based on carbon. So I guess it's appropriate an organic chemist would bring these up. The first is steel, the second is diamond, and the third, perhaps the hardest, is to know yourself. But this you must do. You must find a path that puts you in a place where you too go to bed looking forward to getting up in the morning and going to work. This is what will keep you going through a career. I could go on in this vein, but instead I will draw to a close. I will urge you to continue doing something that you are already prone to do anyway, and that is keep in touch. Your generation is much more inclined and far better equipped to do this than I was, at least judging from the number of times I see students looking down at their iPhones in class. Occasional emails of that faculty member who tormented you for a good reason or a good cause. Well, it seemed so at the time. On what you're up to now will make our day. This, you must trust me on this. That is the case. I still really can't believe I'm in my 27th consecutive year in academia. As some might say, 27 straight years without a real job. To this I say, amen. It has never felt like a job, and it surely doesn't feel like 27 years, except for my shoulder after a long day drawing on the blackboard. I have said many times that as a faculty member at one of the best liberal arts colleges in the country, I have the best job in America. The coin of my realm is not measured in great financial gain. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay, Ross. I'm doing okay.
Adrian is ridiculous.
But rather, it is measured in the success of you, graduates. And by that measure, the faculty members of Union College are very, very wealthy. Let me end with 2 wishes and an invitation. May you all find a career profession as fulfilling and fun as the one I found. May the future accomplishments of the class of 2013 set a standard by which union classes can be judged. And after the ceremony, ceremony is over. Any of you who wish are welcome to try on helmet. Thank you again. Best wishes as you begin the next stage.